Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimple the Limp, and I'm here with a video that's definitely different from the usual stuff that I put out. I will have more of my usual up as soon as possible. I'm sorry if you notice I'm still sitting down. I've actually got a heating pad up against my back to take some of the pain off. I'm still not back to 100%, not standing yet, but hopefully soon. Anyway, like I said, this video is going to be different. This one it's a criticism from me towards another YouTuber, which I really don't like doing. And I'm sure this guy's a perfectly nice guy, uh, you know, decent person, has his heart in the right place, but maybe a little misguided. Okay. And it's a mentality I've been seeing enter more and more and more into the board gaming world, and it's starting to just wear on me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over one of his videos, and I'm actually probably going to do this for a couple of his videos because there's a couple where I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? And this one is actually a review he did for Sleeping Gods. I've actually got it on the table right now behind me, and great game, good game. He gave it a good review. I'd give it a good review. It's definitely interesting. They took some new steps with it. That's not the point of this. The first half of his video, though, had to do with narrative choices when it came to gaming. And to be fair, he had some valid points, some points that I would agree with, stuff that has changed over the years. I think part of that just has to do with things change over time. People learn, they improve, it gets better, that type of stuff. But it's that mentality of let's look at things through race and gender and everything that divides us that bothers me. Okay. Because I think that when it comes to escapism type stuff, so board games are obviously a luxury. Anyone who can take the time to invest into board games, they have a decent life because they've gotten relatively expensive. And they're like so many other hobbies, whether you're into modeling, board games, video games, whatever your thing is, it's a luxury. It's your niche. It's what you enjoy. But I don't like seeing this type of mentality keep slowly invading the board gaming realm. And I think it's going to ultimately destroy what people are trying to improve through what they're doing. It's going to make it to where we can only put out certain board games and they'll all be cookie cutter because they all have to fit this, all these little niches, all these little categories. Little boxes are going to have to be checked off, and we can't go at it that way. We can't think about it like that when it comes to board games. And anything, like any medium, whatever you want to do, whether it's art, like traditional art, painting and crafting and that type of stuff, whether it's movies, video games, books, board games, you need to be able to be free to express yourself without worrying that someone's going to be judging you based on your race or gender. And that's what I think he does here. And it's not conducive. It's not improving the hobby. You're not bringing people together by attacking segments of it based on immutable characteristics. That's stuff that people can't change. Their race, for example. You're born whatever race you are. You can't change that. You have no control over it. So why judge someone for it? Why does it matter? In my opinion, it doesn't. It makes no difference to someone's character, to someone's merit on this planet, what their race is. It's meaningless. But to many people, it's all that seems to matter anymore. And like I said, I think I don't want to be overly critical of him, because I think he wishes well. I think he means well in what he's trying to do. But I think he's misguided and missing the mark that the hobby could bring us together. So what we're going to do here is I've already watched the video, and we're going to go through and look at a few key pieces of it. Now, I realize, and I'm going to admit this very much right up front, that it is horribly unfair of me to take a small snippet, because I can't show the whole context. The video is almost an hour long, and if I watch through the entire thing so you guys can see the entire thing. One, I'm basically ripping his content, and two, it would just take too long. This video would be 2 or 3 hours. We're not going to do that. I'm going to go to just a few key portions, but I obviously recommend that you go watch his video in its entirety so you can definitely judge for yourself. That way you're not taking anything I say out of context, and obviously don't go and attack the guy, although he's got a much bigger reach than I do. So like, who am I going to, send to attack him? But just in case, I'll put it out there. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Seems like a very pleasant fellow. But don't say anything bad to him. Just like I wouldn't want someone coming and attacking me because someone said something bad about one of my videos. I don't wish that on others. But when we go through and we look at just a few key parts, keep that in mind that I'm only able to show you just a little snippet, okay? And go back and see the context. I'll let the video start playing, at 30 seconds or so before he gets to that point, so I can give as much context as I can to the point that's being made on screen. All right, so I got the video pulled up here, and let me maximize it out for you. And the first one's close to about 9 minutes, so we're gonna hit play here at 8:30. Now, he is talking a lot about Gary Gygax and Dungeons & Dragons. Up front, I've never played D&D, don't know Gary Gygax from Adam. I couldn't pick him out of a crowd. I couldn't tell you anything about the guy. Don't know, don't care. Gary Gygax. Dungeons & Dragons is huge. Everybody likes it. I like some of the video games. Cool, great, cool. No problem with it. But let's jump in.
Which gives us an adventure that's less a thinking person's module, but more a tedious affair of trial and error. You die, you learn, you start again. And maybe one day, you and your friends will find the one true way. In the foreword to the 1998 sequel Return to the Tomb of Horrors, Gygax outlines the intentions for his design.
Why then the scenario in the first place? Thank Alan Lucien for conceiving of such a horrid little adventure. From his basis, I developed the material that was to become the Tomb of Horrors, and I admit to chuckling evilly as I did so. There were several very expert players in my campaign, and this was meant as yet another challenge to their skill, and the persistence of their theretofore invincible characters.
To summarize, Gygax wrote this for his D&D chums, who were most of the time, all male by the way, to challenge people who've become so good at winning the famously unwinnable game.
Okay, so he's talking about the Tomb of Horrors there, which, from what he's saying, and I have heard of the Tomb of Horrors before, it was this incredibly difficult scenario in Dungeons & Dragons. And to be fair, his criticisms of it sound very valid, because it sounds like it was choice A, B, or C, and A and C killed you, while B, you could continue on. There's no chance at A or C. That's not really, hard. That's just keep doing things on repeat until you find the right direction. So he's very valid in that. But right there was the start. When I was watching this video the first time, I was like, mostly male. Why does it matter? Okay, why? Who cares? I don't care if it's a girl in front of me, a guy in front of me, whoever. You want to sit there and you want to play a game, you want to have some fun? Cool, let's do it. No problem. I personally prefer, prettier women. Great. Better than Mo's ugly face, but I don't care who's sitting in front of me. But right there you can hear just that underlying criticism. Well, they're mostly male. Okay? And I think part of it had to do with this time frame was very old Dungeons & Dragons. It was understood as a very nerdy hobby at the time, that only geeky kids did it, like the outcast kids. Some parents thought of it as demonic or satanic. They didn't understand it. And I'm talking like 70s, 80s time frame, right? And obviously the game was different. It's been improved over time. And some of the things that he talked about here, and I would agree with, is that the mechanics of the game had changed, especially over time. And we'll touch on this a little bit later in the video as well. But I think that that's why we've seen an increase in female players, because I forget what study it was, but plenty of them say this, that, guys are interested in things and women are interested in people. Now, obviously, that's a very broad generalization, but relatively accurate on the whole. Obviously, there's exceptions in both categories. But since the early scale Dungeons Dragons was very mechanical in nature, from what I understand of it again, that would align itself with more male players because it had less of that narrative, less of that story that brings in more female players. And I've seen this myself with my wife on the games that she'll choose to play with me. She loves engine building games. She loves games that have a good story. There's one that he references later in his video, Legacy of Dragonholt, I believe is the name of it, that my wife and I have played. And that one is very choose your own adventure type gameplay. It's very much a narrative of the mind, story of the mind. And she loved that game. We would keep the box in the car for long road trips. That way we could pull it out and work on it as we were driving. And it gave us something to do. You know, she loved that aspect of it, but it had story, it had narrative, had things going on, but there was gameplay going on. We had supplies and inventory and all that good stuff. So it had things that I liked and things that she liked. I think back in these days, Dungeons & Dragons had less that women liked, girls liked, and it brought in fewer girl players. And over time, they learned how to fix that, how to broaden their appeal to a wider audience, and they brought in more people. That's fine. That's no problem. But he makes it like the game was designed and others, anyone who was playing it had the Little Rascals, what was it, He-Man Woman Haters Club that guys only, girls can't play. I really don't think it was like that, especially if you had a group of young guys sitting around playing Dungeons & Dragons. You're telling me if some girls wanted to join them, they're going to say no? Sure, they're going to be the occasional butthead who's going to say no. But no, guys like girls. They're more than happy to have them join. But anyway, that's the first little bit. Let's continue pushing on.
Then we'll go to the Crypt of the Demilich. Cruel, but most entertaining for the DM.
Cruel, but most entertaining for the DM. And that's it, you see. That's the giveaway line. In my opinion, the cruelty here is played for a joke. A whimsical moment where suddenly you're naked, but it's too late. I've seen everything. Ha, ha. I sort of almost get it. In the right environment, it passes. It's a laugh. Everyone chuckles at their newfound clothless fate and then tries to figure out how they're going to survive without any equipment. But notice that when I say the right environment, I don't specify who that environment is right for. I can't tell you what Gygax was thinking when he wrote this. I'm not him. I haven't been inside his brain.
That's another one where I think he's just referencing that the game was designed around, again, excluding certain people. And I don't know Gary Gygax. It's possible that the guy was sexist, racist, whatever. I don't care. It's possible. Again, I haven't played the game, but I don't see a whole lot of business decisions being made to exclude customers. And especially in today's world, because a lot of this is implied that in today's world, you still have that type of mentality that it excludes everyone but white guys. And that couldn't be farther from the truth when it comes to gaming. Go to any convention. There's people of all sorts there.
If you wanted a good primer on why it's nonsense, the documentary Three Identical Strangers is a good place to start. In short, once again in my opinion, Gygax believed that women didn't have fun playing games, which, if you're watching this video and you don't identify as male, I am sorry. I'm sorry for everyone who's perpetuated and glorified this myth, because you and I and anyone who's shared a joyous moment at a game table with you knows it's utter twaddle.
Okay. This drives me nuts. And so many people do this crap, and I don't get it. What is he apologizing for? What has he done? Okay? As far as I understand it from what he's saying, He welcomes anyone and everyone to his gaming table. He doesn't discriminate. That's basically what he's going for, right? I don't discriminate. I will play with anyone. I don't care your orientation, your race, what. Great, you're welcome here. So why is he apologizing, right? To me, it sounds like he's apologizing because he's a white guy. Why? Why? What did you do? All right, I'm part white. Do I have to apologize for that? All right, so I'm Native American and white. Do I need to figure out the percentage of which and apologize that percentage to make up for it? No, I haven't hurt anybody, right? He hasn't hurt anybody that I know of. Maybe he, is evil and we don't know, but he doesn't strike me as the type. I think he strikes me as the type that he means well. It seems like he genuinely cares about others and he wants them to feel welcome. But it's that inherent bias in his own statement that shows that he has a prejudice that he's not seeing. He's saying that inherently white guys are bad because reasons that I still haven't quite figured out. And it seems like the only thing that I can get from it is because more of them enjoyed this hobby before now. Okay. And anytime I've ever been to a store, especially a gaming store, I have never once seen an aisle that said guys only, whites only, anyone only. It's not restricted. Anyone can walk in, see a game they like, pick it up, and buy it, go home, and play it. Anyone can come in on their game nights, meet people, join the groups. They don't care. This is one of the big things I loved about X-Wing. Is the first night I went there, introduced myself to the people that were playing. They welcomed me right in. People of all walks, all different jobs, ethnicities, races, religions. My store pretty much covered the gambit. Nobody cared because it didn't matter. Because we don't look at that stuff, right? And it makes this right here always makes me think back to that episode of South Park, and I'll interject it in here real quick if I can. But that episode where, if you saw it, if I was able to pull up the snippet of it, where they're talking about the South Park flag, and they're like, oh, it's about killing people. All the kids thought it was about killing people. And they're like, well, yeah, because someone's race doesn't matter. That doesn't make a difference. And Chef's like, well, of course it matters. And then, he stops and he figures out, no, actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference because we all are the same. We all are people. And we need to judge people based on their character, their merit, not what they look like. That's the epiphany I want him to have. That's what I want him to wake up and go, you know what? It doesn't matter. What someone looks like doesn't matter in the least. If someone's a guy or girl, that doesn't matter in the least. If I have fun playing with them, that matters. If they bring loaded dice to my game, that matters. If if they have good snacks, that matters. What they look like, no, not really. It doesn't make a difference. I don't care. Plenty of others don't care. Let's stop looking at people through a prism and just play. Just have a good time with our escapism instead of trying to chop people up into groups and make sure we cross our I's, dot our T's, and make sure all our percentages are correct. Because that's just not the way the world needs to run. It's not the world I want to live in.
He was the egg wizard, all shell and no game, and he alone wasn't responsible. D&D does not belong to Gary Gygax. It belongs to all of us, and we must take ownership of the joy that it brought us over the years and the critical shortcomings ingrained in the seed that blossomed into this game. Here, I'd like to rephrase something I said earlier in this video. I have no idea what it felt like to play D&D in the 80s, or the 70s. And I don't want to. I get the nostalgia, but it's not just the nostalgia that isn't mine. It's tied to a cultural space that's not for me or my friends. I don't miss that D&D because I don't think me and who I am would have had much fun there.
Okay, right here, I think we can all get the underlying meaning of what he's saying, and it has a real air of looking down his nose at others, of I'm better than thy, I'm better than thee, I don't do what you do. You're judging an entire group of people that you don't know from Adam, and essentially calling them all a bunch of ist or bigots or whatever, based on what? Why? You don't know those people. You don't know the people that were playing there. You literally just said you didn't play during that time frame. So you who didn't play during that time frame, so obviously couldn't know the people during that time frame, can still say I wouldn't play with those people and I wouldn't associate with them because I'm better than them. I'm better than the way that they did it. You don't know that. There are countless thousands, tens of thousands. Who knows how many people were playing Dungeons and Dragons back then? I mean, it's spread across the whole damn world. People were playing it in a bunch of different countries. And you're telling me you think everyone of all the different races, and I'm sure genders, that were playing it during that time frame, all of them were bad? No. It comes across as very much the guys, especially the white guys that were playing during that time frame. They were bad and they excluded people. But you say that with no evidence besides the fact that Gary Gygax said some stuff that you don't like. Okay, the creator of D&D said stuff you don't like. Okay, plenty of people say stuff I don't like. That doesn't mean I judge everyone who's ever been even tangentially associated with them. All these other, okay, it would be like, and damn, now the guy's name's leaving my mind. What's his name? Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek. It would be like judging everyone who likes the original series Star Trek based off something Gene Roddenberry, that's his name, Gene Roddenberry, something Gene Roddenberry said. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? That would be really asinine for me to judge them and think ill of them when I don't know them, wasn't active during that period of time, probably not even alive during that period of time, but I'm going to judge them based off one person. No, that's not how we need to live in the world. That's not how we need to treat each other. Treat each other with respect. Judge people based on individual characteristics. Again, their merit, their character, who they are. Look past the shell. You can find the pearl on the inside. All right, I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. I just got a few little points left to make.
The core pillar. The hints section at the back of Warlock of Firetop Mountain specifically uses the phrase one true way. And if I'm honest, to me, Tomb of Horrors is just shorthand for Gygaxian storytelling. For example, in the very first adventure Gary Gygax ran, the players found a treasure chest filled with money, but it's 3,000 copper pieces. And because Gygax cared about such things, the joke was that it was too heavy for anyone to reasonably carry. The two players in his game were his children, one of whom soon lost interest in the game. It was his daughter. What I am interested in is...
Again, it's attacking. It's constantly coming across that it was a game not for girls, which we touched on earlier, that it was very different at the time frame, so it's going to appeal to people differently. What he's referring to there, he's trying to make a general connection to everything, which in a way it kind of does, but if anything, it just shows that Gary couldn't keep his daughter's attention. It's not an attack on the hobby itself. And again, Gary Gygax isn't the hobby. He is right in a way that the game belongs to everybody now, right? It's out there. Everyone can play it. You pick up a book, you're good. You can play it. You don't have anything else to worry about. So stop trying to exclude people.
Knights embrace them full on and also come with the nasty tropes that Gygax planted the seeds for so long ago. Although that's not true for all of them. Legacy of Dragonhold by Nikki Valens wasn't just a monumental love letter to fighting fantasy, but also establishes more progressive tropes set in the same design space and offers a more compelling and dynamic narrative compared to others. By and large, these games do not stray far from the core formula. You read some text, it has prompts, you choose an option, and you read the outcome. Whereas the tabletop ones are developed to be played together with other people, they are still mostly just books with a sprinkling of mechanisms, which is exactly what this is.
Okay, in a way, he's right. It's just like we were talking about earlier. Legacy of Dragonholt, my wife and I enjoyed played it numerous times because the mechanics were different. The Warlock of Fire Mountain, whatever the name of it is, was different. It was much more mechanical. But I did have a few of those flip through books. I'm sure many of you did when you were a kid. And all of us played it the same damn way. If you got to the wrong choice, you just flicked back and carried on with the game. Legacy of Dragonholt just did it better. And since it did better, it brought in more players. That just shows that it improved over time. Not that people were being excluded purely based on immutable characteristics. Alright, now let me let it scroll up a little bit just so you guys can see. There we go. The Seventh Continent. I actually have to give him credit on this one. He did bring up some good criticisms of the Seventh Continent because I really liked the Seventh Continent. I thought it was a good game. And he did catch flack over some of his criticisms of the game. But to be fair, he had some valid points when it came to the Seventh Continent. I had to give him that. So it's not that his overall views when it comes to games is problematic. I think he's doing a fine job when it comes to reviewing the types of games that he reviews. Yeah, cool, great. It's just the element of judging based on those immutable characteristics that needs to get on out of there.
To roam and wander and find things. But before this card world folded onto itself, there was this suspicious buzz, a strange voice in my head saying, something is wrong here. Before the expansion for Seventh Continent was released, not a single one of the playable characters was a person of color. To add insult to this lack of diverse representation, one of the bonus playable characters was H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay, so, dude, this is what I'm talking about. This drives me just batty. All right, I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. Not a single one of them were a person of color. Who cares? Who cares? I wouldn't care if they were all black, if they were all white, if they were all Indian. Hell, I haven't seen a game that has all of my ancestors in it, like, ever. The only games that have my ancestors in it are the games where my people are being colonized, right? That's it, right? Although, to be fair, I'm Central European and Native American because I've got a really messed up family lineage. So I guess some of my ancestors conquered the others, just depending on which way you looked at it. But anyway, as far as H.P. Lovecraft goes, he goes on a spill about H.P. Lovecraft. By all means, watch that aspect. I know nothing about H.P. Lovecraft personally, so I'm not going to comment as far as that goes. I like some of the Lovecraftian lore, Mansions of Madness, stuff like that. But the guy, personally, I don't know. But I have never, ever, ever looked at a game when I'm reviewing it and looked at the characters and gone, well, okay, they got the white guy, they got a black guy, they got Indian guy, they got the Asian guy. What? Seriously? No. All right, if I play a game about feudal Japan, I want a bunch of Japanese people in it, right? If I play a game that's set in Africa, I want a bunch of black people in it, right? Well, I guess that's going to depend on what time frame the game's set in. But again, generally speaking, if it's a fantasy game, I want fantasy people in it, which kind of is great because it opens it up to anything. You can have monsters or aliens or any race, or you can have purple people. What are the little purple blue chicks from Star Wars? Twi'leks. Love the Twi'leks. But it's mind-boggling to me to look at a game and judge it based on that. The race makeup of the characters. I don't know. I always go back to that South Park thing that I don't want to see that. Right? I want to see the mechanics of the game. Is the game good? Did I enjoy the game? Did I learn something if it's a historical game? Did I have fun with it? Right? All of those things. Good components. Well-written rulebook. These are the things I look for in a board game. I don't want to see the racial makeup. And anyway, I don't like that. I just don't. Let's stop doing this. Stop. Just look at your fellow man, right? Love the people for who they are and leave it the hell alone. Stop looking and seeing what people look like. And I've used this analogy before when I've talked to people about this. What I want to happen, what I want my kids to grow up in, right, is when they see, let's say, a married couple, man and woman, walking down the street, I want them to see two people walking down the street. I don't want them to see a white man and a black woman or whatever their races happen to be walking down the street. I just want them to see two people. Let's get there. Let's focus together to get to that and not get into the rest of this, making sure that we hit all the damn categories, because otherwise the game's horrible if we haven't, checked all the boxes. All right, now here he's talking about a different game. This is Tainted Grail, another one that I actually think is pretty good, worth checking out.
Yet much like Seventh Continent, it had a map composed of cards with a myriad of locations. It had characters you could embody and develop as the campaign progressed. It had a survival system integrated into a campaign that spanned dozens of hours. And whilst we saw the return of the book, it was just a more convenient way to deliver the text narrative you encountered on your exploration. We also saw the return of all that baggage. The forking paths frequently led you to dead ends, time wasters, and death traps.
Legitimate criticisms.
Failure at the roll of the die was frequent and didn't lead to any interesting consequences. It was just failure. Culturally, I would describe Tainted Grail as aggressively white and sexist. And if you're one of those people who are clinging to historical accuracy...
Okay, just... What? What in the hell is aggressively white? Could you imagine? All right, just close your eyes and imagine with me here. If someone got up and made a review of a game and called it aggressively black or aggressively Asian, there would be an uproar. I guarantee you that there would be countless people out there calling for them to be canceled for whatever platform they're on, to take down their channel, their content, whatever. They would be aggressively attacked. They would be severely attacked. But he can get on here and call a game not only sexist, which I didn't see that, but okay. Maybe I didn't play far enough into the game yet to see where the sexism is. But to call it aggressively white, that is one of the most racist comments I've heard. It's this self. What's the word I'm looking for? Crap, man, I'm having a brain fart. Uh, like that old religious thing where the guys used to whip themselves, right? Uh, Beat themselves in the name of Jesus and make up for their sins. You'll have to forgive me. I'll put it up in the comments or something, whatever it's called. But he's like bashing white people to like signify that he's not bad like the other bad white people. Like, dude, no, you're just being racist. That's You're being what you say you stand against. You say you fight racism. You don't believe in racism and sexism, but here you are doing that. And I know for a fact, I would bet my life on it, that if someone were to call a game aggressively black, he would lose his mind. He would go nuts over it because it's so racist. How dare they, call a game that? But won't think twice about calling a game aggressively white and just think it's appropriate. No, that is not appropriate. And this was made in 2021, but in 2022, we still haven't come far enough as a people to not have stuff like this happen. That's one of my least favorite parts of this video, right? The fact that he says that, it's just so offensive. Don't attack anyone based on their race. Just don't. It's wrong. How do you not know that?
You does not have a defined gender, nor is it implied anywhere that I've seen. You could be anybody. Although I accept that I haven't read enough and I'm happy to be proven wrong in the comments.
Okay, there he's talking about Firetop Mountain, Warlock of Firetop Mountain again. And he's talking about how you can be anyone. Well, yeah, that's great. But in most of these games, you can be anyone. Dungeons and Dragons, you can make whatever character you want. Firetop Mountain, it can be anyone because it's supposed to be you in the game playing it. So, of course, it can be anyone. But I almost think he's telling the truth there where he says, I'm happy to be proven wrong. It's almost like he wants to be proven wrong to find out that the game's secretly racist. Maybe I'm interpreting that the wrong way, but yeah, it can be anyone. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so in here he's been talking about Sleeping Gods for a little while. Definitely a good game, very much worth checking out. He has some good thoughts about the game. I agree with him on most of the parts. The game is very, very cool, especially if you were into story-driven games, a narrative-type game. There's a lot of interconnected moving parts. It's a medium complexity game, probably not for a beginner, but if you've got someone who's played a few games before, they can definitely get into it. But the story it's good. It's engaging, and it catches your attention, and they've tried some new stuff. But I'll probably cover Sleeping Gods later. Just wanted to back it up that it is a good game.
That glue it together. Sleeping Gods joins the very rare company of open world games that survive that curtain drop, and an even rarer company of campaign board games that we finished. With glee, I might add. Its world is warm and welcoming. It's challenging without being obtuse. It subverts all tropes of the genre. It's charming, it's funny, and whilst the crew of the Manticore does not feature LGBTQ or disabled characters, as far as we know, because there's like 100 quests we haven't seen yet, at least it has a culturally diverse cast. Like, you can tell this game is trying, which is definitely better than playing as HP Source.
Okay, yeah, you can definitely tell where my issue is at the last part of that. Okay, as someone in my cane's actually fallen over, I'm disabled. I walk with a cane. I'll walk with a cane the rest of my damn life. I don't need to have a disabled person in my board games to enjoy them. Most of my board games, you can't have a disabled person because you need to be the hero. And it's not really generally a good idea for the hero to be slower than molasses rolling uphill wrapped in shit. It just doesn't work. I don't want board games or really anything for that matter, to go down the path of needing to hit the check boxes. And he rates that as a good thing, and I rate it as the pathway to sameness. I see games ending up to where all of them have to be made in such a way that they make sure they have at least so many characters of different races, ethnicities, genders, no matter the setting, no matter the lore, the purpose, whatever the case may be, just to keep people from attacking the game. And we can't make games that way. That's not the purpose of it. I don't want to have to solely rely on science fiction or fantasy games to have ones that can be free to just do what they want without having to worry about making sure it's inclusive and diverse. Not to mention, diverse has been perverted from its actual meaning in today's world. Diverse in today's world just means not white, which really I don't care. Again, I don't want to see that. It's the crew of the Manticore, which is Sleeping Gods, all the different crew members. It really does come across like they were trying to hit all the boxes they possibly could with the crew members. And the thing of it is you can't tell anymore whether or not that's been done because that's what the designers wanted for the game. Those were the characters they had in their mind, or if they're just doing that to fit the quota, to keep people off their back and to keep from being attacked by the mob and canceled because they forgot some group to be included. I want people in my games. I don't care what the people look like. Most of the games don't even have my ancestors in them, right? Well, half my ancestors in them. So, yeah. And I'm not that concerned with it because it doesn't matter to me, right? I don't care if my character is black. I don't care if my character is white. I don't care if my character is a girl. I just want to have fun in the game, right? That's my goal with it. Have fun, not what people friggin' look like. I'll tell you, one of my favorite games is Core Space. I love Core Space. I think it's very well done. It's got many options into it. But my favorite character in it, you know who my favorite character is? And if you've watched any of my Core Space series, you'll probably have seen him. It's the big blue alien with 4 arms and tree trunks for legs. That's my favorite character because he's got a story in my mind, right? There's cool stuff going on with him. He's big and beastly. He's like the tank of my crew. My second favorite's the captain. Big pot-bellied guy with a big metal fist he can pound into the enemy. Actually, he's probably my third favorite. My second favorite would be Mac, which would be my robot character. Because I like the robot. But it's not a white robot. It's not a black robot. It's not a gay robot. It's just a robot. Just mech. And he's cool. And he's got a little shield belt. And he can go pound the enemy to make way for his crew to come in and steal all the juicy tokens. Look, I know this video has been long and I've hit a lot of deeper topics, stuff that's different from what I normally cover. And the thing of it is I don't want to keep seeing board games and everything else go down the pathway. Let me not leave it on a bad spot over here. We'll let's just go here and I'll cut the sound off. That way you guys can see a little bit of Sleeping Gods while I finish talking about this. I think the guy's well-meaning. I think he generally wants to do right by people, but I think he's misguided in the way that he's doing it. I think he's being prejudiced while trying to stop people from being prejudiced. We can't get rid of racism. We can't get rid of sexism. There's always going to be assholes in the world. That's just not going to change. I'm sorry, but but it's not. Some people are just bad. It is the way it is. But we don't beat that by lowering ourselves down to that. Let's stop looking and judging people based on those outer appearances, those immutable characteristics. Now, yeah, the things that we do need to judge gamers on are things like their hygiene, right? Because I know everyone else has been to a local game store and you've smelled the guy that hasn't left his mommy's basement for a shower in a week, and you can tell. That's something we can judge someone for. But I'm never going to walk into a game store and see a girl in there and go, she doesn't belong here. I'm never going to walk into a game store and see anyone of any race or creed in there and go, they don't belong there. Why? Because I don't want someone doing that to me. I don't want someone saying, well, there's too many of you, or too many of half of you here, so you can't be here. We've got to make way for others. Well, why? What, did I do something wrong? No, but it's just based on what you look like. We're better than that. Y'all are better than that. Let's all be better than that and not reinforce this. All right, I babbled on enough. Like I said, don't attack the guy. Don't be mean to him. Definitely watch the video so you can get the entire context, because again, there's no way I can cover entire context. But he does talk about some interesting tropes when it comes to gaming, especially the earlier parts of Dungeons & Dragons, stuff that I didn't know too much about. And he does a decent review of Sleeping Gods, which again is a good game. It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you like narrative games. So check those out. Check out his channel. He's got a lot of different reviews up there. And I hate to say it, but he's got one more video I might have to critique. All right, but that's going to be it for me. And you guys leave your comments down below. I'm sure I'll receive more than one hateful one. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.